So, Lorenzo, I want to talk to you about conversion rates. And if you're in e-commerce, I mean, the most important metric for you is your conversion rate. I mean, there are other metrics that matter as well, but traditionally, conversion rate is something that we obsess about. And I think a lot of times we don't know how to measure if our conversion rate is good or bad. One way to do it is to say, what was my conversion rate 6 months ago and what is it now? But a lot of times we kind of get our conversion rates by looking at what the industry average is. So if you Google what is a good conversion rate, you'll find 10,000 articles. And one of the numbers that is pretty prominent is 2.9%. Somehow we have decided as an industry that if you have a conversion rate of 2.9%, it's up the average. And so theoretically, if you're above that, you have reason to feel good about this. And this is not an abstract concept. I've spoken to so many CEOs where they say like, hey, my conversion rate is 4%. Don't you think that's good? I mean, what do I need to worry about? And I think this is a really important topic, because if the way we are, it's like, when you're in school, and if you are comparing your school performance against the average student versus the top student, like it's a totally different mental model. And so what should one use to anchor their conversion rate to motivate them to aspire for higher conversion rates? One of the things that I find that is true for the clients that I talk to for sure is a lot of them go for trade shows. Whether it's an industry trade show, whether it's a health supplements trade show, all of these different trade shows where they're selling their products. And they actually get to talk to real customers. And these are first-time buyers because they typically don't know who they are. They walk up to their booth and they engage them in a conversation. And I always ask them, even if they're not good salespeople, I always ask them, let's say you were able to have a conversation with 100 people. How many do you think you'd be able to persuade? And invariably, I've almost never seen a number lower than 20%. I've never had someone say that I can only influence 10% of people. Usually sometimes it's even 100%. But realistically, it's maybe 40%. And I would say on the low end, it's 20%. And I think the reason for this is because we have so much confidence in how we communicate and how much, confidence in being able to kind of guide the shopper. So to me, that is the mental model I want to use to decide if my 4% conversion rate is good or not. Don't compare my 4% conversion rate to the industry average of 2.9%. Compare it to the 20% that I'm getting in person and figure out how do I reverse engineer what I'm doing in person on my website. So that was my idea. That was my thought. And I wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's very interesting. So a couple of thoughts. The first one is one thing that oftentimes people don't kind of like forget about is that the conversion rate is being influenced big time from the traffic source, right? So if we have two different stores, two different e-commerce, and e-commerce number one, 90% of the traffic comes from Facebook or TikTok, where, most of the people are there to be entertained, right? Versus e-commerce number two, where, there's a lot of like high intent type of traffic from either Google or maybe like affiliates as well. And maybe email, right? Because usually conversion rate of the email traffic is much higher. Now you have two different stores with, from the amount of work that has been done in order to improve the conversion rate, it's the same, right? But now all of a sudden you have one which has much higher intent versus the other one. So, it's completely different conversion rates. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that I really, really, really like the idea of thinking about the trade show analogy because of a couple of reasons. First of all, it helps you understand the actual one-to-one sales process that is happening between two human beings, right? And the second, and obviously it's like super important because, oftentimes the offline experience is a competitor of what this user is trying to do on the product, on the e-commerce, right? That's number one. The second reason is because obviously in the offline, there is this, as you said, there is like one-to-one communication and conversation where you actually can qualify the buyer and start asking a bunch of questions to the buyer. And that helps you understand what can you do, right? Based on that default situation, the offline trade show situation, what can you do in order to influence each visitor in the communication, right? And we spoke about active participation, right? I'll put the link to the episode about active participation. Wizard would be another way to kind of influence the purchase process and so on. But so I really, really love this concept of thinking about when you come up with like ideas to improve the experience of the product page, have that as the default kind of thinking in order to come up with ideas. I really like that.
Yeah. Well, let us know, guys, what do you think about it? And if you disagree with the analogy, if you have, if there are other ways in which you are thinking about improving your conversion rates or measuring your conversion rates, or maybe you're not even looking at conversion rates. Maybe that's not even the metric to focus on. So we'd love to get your thoughts. If you have someone who is running an e-commerce business who you think would benefit from this type of insight, share the video with them. I think it'll help them out. And we will see you again with yet another episode. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.